So we got an example today of how the left-leaning news networks just never seem to learn their lesson, right? And it was with this whole phone call with Trump and the officials from Georgia in regards to the election and all this kind of stuff. So the clip was focused on one part of the conversation where Trump says something along the lines of, "Hey, I'm only trying to find 11,700 something votes," or whatever the case may be, which would be the exact number of votes that he would need to have technically won the state of Georgia. So the narrative machine gets to work, and this is, hey, listen to this audio clip. And what this is Trump saying, hey, just find me, enough votes. Find me 11,800 votes or whatever the case may be. I don't care how you do it, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of how, the clip got spun. And then today, the full recording comes out. And what I see all over Twitter is, a lot of voices from the right saying, oh, listen, this is fake news. This is, the mainstream media and the left-leaning media is, spinning this, inaccurately presenting this, that they purposefully chose to just play you that clip or go off that clip that was released last night. But if you listen to the whole phone call, you realize that it's not what they're claiming it is. And you know what? They're right. In my opinion, that clip and the way that the left media spun it was not accurate, right? But that's the thing. When I say they never seem to learn their lesson, they take this situation, they isolate, right, a certain part of it, and then it's like they attempt to try to find the most extreme aspect of it, right, of what it could be and what this could be interpreted as. And then they take it as far as, oh, well, could this be illegal? Could Trump be facing impeachment? Could he be facing criminal charges and all this kind of stuff? Is this election interference and all these kind of, narratives? And all of the focus gets put on that part. And then so what happens is the right has all the cover they need, because what they're going to now be able to do, which is what they have done, is focus on the fact that, look at the biased left-wing media, and look how they are trying to con the American people into believing that what happened on that phone call was simple. Trump tried to pressure and persuade the Secretary of State of Georgia to overturn the election results. And the proof is, look, you can hear him here stating, I only need to find, 11,000 X amount of votes. But guys, if you listen to the full recording, Trump is not, it's not that he was going and he was saying, hey, I don't care, whether or not I believe, that it's not that I believe that, all this fraud took place and all this kind of stuff. Whether he believes it or not doesn't matter. But the point being is, on the phone call, Trump was laying out, these different areas, these different parts, so to say, of how the votes were fraudulent, right? And so dead voters and out-of-state voters and voters with PO boxes and different things, right? Okay, so what he was doing throughout the call was essentially making a claim that there are hundreds of thousands of fraudulent votes, and that therefore he won the election in Georgia. He won Georgia by hundreds of thousands of votes. I believe he even at one point said 500,000 votes, right? So Trump was trying to lay out that because of all, if you look at all these different, things in which fraudulent votes were cast, I won the state of Georgia by 500,000 votes, right? So when he later on in the call says, I just need you to find 11,800 votes or whatever that exact number was. What he was, again, doing was trying to almost, make the case of, hey, Brad, Secretary of State of Georgia, I'm giving you evidence or whatever. I'm giving you proof that there were 500,000 fraudulent votes. And I'm not saying to you, you have to go out there and you have to prove and show that 500,000 votes were fraudulent and need to be, thrown out, and therefore give the election, to Donald Trump, give the state to Donald Trump. He was almost kind of presenting it in a way of, look, there's 500,000, fraudulent votes. I'm not asking you have to go find them all. I'm just saying if I'm giving you 500,000 votes, okay, fraudulent votes to work with, but I'm just saying all you have to do is out of those 500,000, you just have to find the 12,000, and that's it, because then you will be able to say to the American people and to Georgia and all that kind of stuff, President Trump won Georgia, right? Not because we found 500,000 fraudulent votes, but we found enough fraudulent votes, right, to overturn the results. So that's really what Trump was doing on that phone call, guys, and what that part of the phone call was. It was not him clearly saying, hey, just go out and find me enough votes to overturn the result. And because I don't care if there really was fraud, I don't care if there really was, any of the things that I've laid out here actually happen or not. Just get me those votes because I want to win the state and I want you to do something illegal. And I'm, again, pressuring you to find me these votes and just find me the exact amount of votes I need to win. So that was not what was happening on that phone call. Again, why the left-leaning media, they keep participating in these narratives in which they do take something and they do a lot of times not give full context. But then this is the most frustrating part, is that because they do that and they put the focus on that part of the call and try to frame it in this way and put a narrative behind it that, oh, what you want to focus on, the biggest thing that you want to focus on from this phone call and from this story as a whole, right, is this part of the phone call. And so now let's bring on our legal experts and all this kind of BS and, talk about how this could be illegal and Trump could be facing criminal charges and all this kind of stuff. You shine the light on that, right? You do that narrative pushing. And now, again, you've given the right, you've given them the gift, so to say, of saying, oh, that's what you want to make the big part of this story. That's what you want people to kind of feel is the heart of this story and what in this whole phone call, right? Perfect. Because now we can come out and we can lay out how that is not the case, how that's just narrative, how that's just clearly the left is against Trump and they can't be trusted, the media can't be trusted and all that kind of stuff, right? Because the biggest part that should have come from this phone call today was what Trump was laying out and claiming on the phone call and the accusations he was making and different things like that, followed by I forgot who he is, but anyways, the whoever in Georgia that came out and literally gave a press conference in which he had like a board up about claims versus facts. And he literally took the time to address just about every single one of Trump's claims and showed how most of them have been debunked, right? So if you focus your coverage on, hey, Trump made all of these claims, right? And here's maybe some background and some information that we already have heard from officials in Georgia and different things like that as to why some of these accusations are not true and if they've been debunked and different things like that. And then you have the whoever from Georgia come out, give that press conference. Well, now that's the story, right? And now, at least then, we have to have that conversation. There's no way to kind of pivot off of the fact that Trump made these accusations and Georgia, right? Official representatives from Georgia came out and rebutted them and said, hey, here's our side of the story on these different things and stuff like that. No, that's not the story. And that's what I'm saying. Nobody on the right, I don't say nobody, I apologize, but very few people on the right are going to even bother to watch that press conference from that official in Georgia, are going to say, all right, so Trump on the phone call said this, and this about dead voters, and the guy from Georgia is coming out and saying it's not true, and here's proof and different things like that. That's not the conversation that we're having. That's not the story. So the story for the right and the narrative pushers, so to say, on the right, who want to obviously back Trump, that's fine. That's what biased news and narrative pushing is. But what the story is on their side is, let's focus just on this. We don't have to, nobody on the right, from what I've seen, right, is talking about these are the accusations that he's made, and this was Georgia's response. Hey, let's talk about that. What are your thoughts on the fact that the officials from Georgia have come out and said, hey, our own, we've had our own legal, representatives, our own law enforcement, different things like that, looking at these. No, that conversation is not happening, because the left-leaning media gave the right a fastball right down the middle by doing what they always do, which is blow this up, try to exaggerate it, and essentially say, hey, what's a juicier headline, what's a juicier story is, if we just kind of isolate this clip, could we spin this and could we get legal experts that are going to come on and, again, make this claim that this was, election interference and possibly illegal and all that kind of bullshit. One of these days, probably not. I mean, obviously it's we're so polarized, so divided and all that kind of stuff. And there's profit, to be made. I've talked about this from both sides, right? Outrage for profit, narrative pushing whores. And both sides understand that they don't really care. And I think that's the thing, guys. I get it, right? The left doesn't care that the right is going to be rightfully upset and saying, hey, that's BS what you're doing there, and you're just spinning narrative and you're taking things out of context and all that kind of stuff. They don't care, because the bottom line is, if the headline got the views, if the headline got the clicks, if the headline got the subscriptions, whatever, mission accomplished, right? So their goal is not about, hey, let's do what's best for this country. Let's do what's best for focusing on the most important parts of a story. Their focus is what part of this story, or how can we frame this story to generate, again, views, clicks, different things like that. And it is both sides. All right. So, hey, right, I know, probably thinking, hey, cool, he made a video where he's, calling out the left, because, guys, I'm always going to make sure that I try to call out both sides. I focus on the right without a doubt. And I think, because I'm one guy, this is my full-time job. So, if you're on the right and you have examples, right, of the left participating in the narrative, feeding into the narrative machine, and all that kind of stuff, send it. Send me clips, share it with me, put it in the comments, whatever the case may be, and I'll gladly promote it, share it, do what I can to, get that out. But again, guys, I mean, it happens every day in so many different ways on both sides that, again, as one man, I've got to maybe kind of try to choose, I have chosen a side of where I'm going to put my focus, right? But I'm not just going to ignore anything I ever see from the left, especially if it's like one of the bigger stories of the day. For me, that was the story. That is where we can take, again, that call and Georgia's reaction afterwards and have a discussion. We can have dialogue, and we can try to be honest and real and look at these things and ask, questions. And again, take that and make sure that that's the story. Let's break that down. Let's get above the noise on that and not do what, again, the left-leaning media just always seems to do, which is make everything hyperbolic and push narrative for their clicks, for their views, the same way the right is guilty of doing it. And so hopefully, like I said, the more I can, get these videos out, the more that maybe I can get in touch with you guys out there that, see it the same or help you see it, that there is the narrative pushing happens on both sides, guys. And if we don't start realizing that what happens from this narrative pushing is so often the real story, the part of the story that we should be focusing on, so that we can ask ourselves questions as Americans and get away from the narrative and just, get away from the headlines and the clickbait, so to say, and have real discussions about the heart and the substance of certain, events and things like that happen, the better we're going to be. But the more people that stay in that kind of narrative machine and the more that we fail to expose the ones that do it, well, then the more people are just going to be all about what was the headline and all that kind of stuff. So gonna watch Trump speak in Georgia. As always with anytime Trump is getting in front of the camera, you never know what you're going to get. So could be something exciting. Maybe he just stays on script, goes out there, encourages people to vote for the Republicans and, tries to get the vote out. So we shall see. And like I said, if it's anything interesting, I'll do a video later on.